Most people think feeling weak after 60 is completely normal. You get older, you slow down, you need more rest. That's what millions of people quietly tell themselves every day. But after years working with older patients, I noticed something disturbing. Many people who thought they were simply aging were actually ignoring warning signs their body had been sending for years. The weakness wasn't random, and the exhaustion wasn't always normal. I remember one man in his late 60s who told me, "Doctor, I think I'm just becoming lazy." He used to walk every morning, used to work in his garden, used to stay active all day. Now, walking to the mailbox exhausted him. At first, he blamed age, then sleep, then motivation. But after testing, we discovered severe sleep apnea that had been quietly damaging his health for years. His body wasn't lazy, it was exhausted. And stories like that are far more common than most people realize, because weakness after 60 often develops slowly. So slowly that people adapt to it without noticing. They stop taking stairs, stop walking long distances, stop exercising. And little by little, the body becomes weaker, slower, and more fragile. The dangerous part is this: most people think exhaustion is the problem, but often exhaustion is only the symptom. And today, I want to show you 5 hidden reasons your body may feel weak after 60, including one that many people completely ignore until their health starts falling apart. One of the biggest misunderstood aging is the idea that sleep automatically equals recovery. It doesn't. I've seen people sleep 9 or even 10 hours every night and still wake up exhausted every morning. Because after 60, the body changes the way it sleeps. Deep sleep becomes shorter, the brain becomes easier to wake, and recovery becomes slower. This is why some people wake up tired before the day even begins, and then they make the mistake that quietly makes everything worse. More caffeine, more television late at night, more scrolling in bed. What many people don't realize is that the nervous system can stay overstimulated for hours. The body may technically be asleep, but the brain never fully settles into deep recovery. And here's something that surprises many patients. The body does most of its repair during deep sleep. That's when muscles recover, hormones regulate, the brain resets itself, energy systems recharge. But many older adults barely spend enough time in deep sleep anymore. Then there's sleep apnea. Some people stop breathing dozens of times every hour during sleep without realizing it. Their oxygen drops, their heart works harder, and the brain partially wakes up again and again through the night. One patient told me, "I wake up feeling like I fought somebody overnight." Honestly, that description was more accurate than he realized, because poor sleep slowly damages almost everything: memory, blood pressure, concentration, mood, energy. But sleep is only one part of this story, because sometimes the body is losing the machinery that creates energy in the first place. One of the biggest hidden causes of weakness after 60 is muscle loss. Most people think it's just normal aging, but muscle is connected to far more than strength. It affects energy, balance, metabolism, recovery, even brain function, and after 60, the body can lose muscle surprisingly fast, especially if someone sits most of the day, avoids exercise, walks less, eats very little protein. This creates a dangerous cycle. The weaker someone feels, the less they move, and the less they move, the weaker the body becomes. I once spoke with a woman in her 70s who thought she had a serious heart problem. Walking upstairs exhausted her. Standing too long hurt her legs. Simple daily tasks suddenly felt difficult. But after testing, the main issue wasn't her heart. It was severe muscle loss from years of inactivity. Her body simply no longer had enough physical reserve. And this happens far more often than people realize. Many older adults slowly remove movement from their lives without noticing it. They stop taking walks, stop carrying things, stop exercising, and over time, the body adapts to doing less and less. Here's the strange part. Movement actually creates energy. When muscles stay active, circulation improves, oxygen delivery improves, blood sugar becomes more stable, the brain works better. This is why some people feel more tired after sitting all day than after a short walk. The body becomes weaker when it is underused, But physical weakness is only part of the story, because sometimes the real exhaustion is happening inside the brain. Not all exhaustion comes from the body. Sometimes it comes from the nervous system, and this type of fatigue feels different. You wake up tired, you lose focus quickly. Simple tasks suddenly feel mentally heavy. Many older adults live in constant low-level stress without realizing it. Financial pressure, loneliness, poor sleep, health anxiety, lack of routine after it. The nervous system was never designed to stay under stress for years. Eventually, it starts conserving energy. This is the part many people misunderstand. They think, I've become lazy. But often the body is overwhelmed, not lazy. I remember one patient telling me, I don't feel sad. I just feel empty all the time. That sentence stayed with me, because chronic nervous system exhaustion often doesn't look dramatic. It looks quiet. No motivation, no excitement, no energy. And unfortunately, there's another hidden problem that can quietly make this even worse. Sometimes the thing helping you is also draining you. This is something many people never think about. Certain medications can quietly increase fatigue over time. Blood pressure medications, sleep medications, some allergy medications, certain anxiety medications. Now let me be clear. I am not saying people should stop taking medication. Absolutely not. But I am saying this. If your energy disappeared after starting a new medication, that conversation matters. Because sometimes people spend years believing their exhaustion is just aging, when their body is actually reacting to medications slowing everything down. And here's what makes this even more difficult. The older body processes medication differently. The liver slows down, the kidneys filter more slowly, and medications stay in the system longer, which means side effects that felt mild at 40 can feel overwhelming at 70. One man told me he felt exhausted every afternoon no matter how much he slept. He thought aging was catching up to him. But after reviewing his medications, we discovered 2 different prescriptions were both causing severe fatigue. And nobody had connected the dots. But there's one final reason weakness after 60 becomes dangerous. And this is the one I truly don't want people ignoring. One thing I wish more older adults understood is this. The body wants to survive. It constantly tries to adapt. That's why serious problems can hide for years. When energy starts disappearing slowly, people often don't notice how much has changed. Until one day they realize they no longer feel like themselves. I once asked a patient, when was the last time you truly felt energetic? He sat quietly for several seconds. Then he said, honestly, I don't remember. That answer hit me hard, because many people spend years slowly adjusting to worsening fatigue instead of asking why it's happening. And over time, their entire world becomes smaller. Less movement, less socializing, less confidence, less independence. That's why weakness after 60 should never be ignored for too long. Sometimes improving energy starts with something simple. Better sleep, walking daily, eating enough protein, treating an undiagnosed condition. Small changes can create enormous improvements over time. But first, people need to stop assuming exhaustion is just part of aging. Getting older does change the body. That part is true, but constant weakness is not something you should automatically accept. Your body usually gives warning signs long before serious problems appear. The question is whether you notice them early enough to do something about them. Sometimes the solution is better sleep. Sometimes it's movement. Sometimes it's nutrition. And sometimes it's finally discovering a health problem that had been quietly developing for years. But one thing is certain. Ignoring exhaustion never fixes it. And the earlier you listen to your body, the more options you still have. Take care of yourselves, and never assume feeling weak all the time is simply normal aging. Many people wait for dramatic symptoms before taking health seriously. Chest pain, collapsing, severe shortness of breath. But the body often whispers before it screams. And weakness is one of the most common warning signs. Heart disease, sleep apnea, anemia, thyroid problems, diabetes, all of these can first appear as simple exhaustion. I remember one man in his early 70s who kept telling everyone, "I'm just slowing down." He stopped taking walks, stopped gardening, stopped seeing friends. His family thought he was aging. What he actually had was severe heart failure developing slowly over years. And the first symptom wasn't pain. It was loss of energy. That's why persistent weakness matters, especially if you notice dizziness, swelling in the legs, needing naps constantly, shortness of breath, exhaustion after small tasks. Those signs deserve attention. Not panic, attention. Because the earlier problems are discovered, the more options people usually still have.